Hello friends, my name is Shivam from DevOps Schools and I will help you to enable your learning process in various technologies of DevOps, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data and many more. This is our initiative to help you by sharing multiple tutorials and videos. And if you want any specific tutorials on any particular topic, then please do comment in the below comment section and I will help you with it. Also, please subscribe to our premium services on YouTube, which will give you access to more content and videos to enhance your knowledge about all these topics. Also, if you want me to help you with regards to the online trainings and classroom sessions by our qualified trainers, then please do write me at contact@devopsschool.com.
Which is given by Java itself, but you can create your own exception class also. For example, I'll just quickly create one class. New class customize exception. Okay, and I write. So if you want to create your own exception, you can have to extend the exception class. Okay, now in this case what we have done is, we have, when I am getting file not found, I am throwing the arithmetic, but I want to handle it in my business way, so I can throw my own exception which I have created. Okay,
so basically the difference is throw S is for the system defined exception and throw is my custom exception, right?
because it's got hanged a bit, sorry about that. So I'm good. Any questions on exceptions?
No, because this is okay.
Sukrit, any questions?
No, because this is okay.
Okay. Okay, fine. So we are good with the exception part also. Okay, now, okay. So we have got a good understanding of basic knowledge about the Java programming language. So this is what it is. Cancel. Okay, so in Java we have this, whenever you want to store the data, whenever you are creating the application, you might have some data you want to play with. Okay, so these are the various types of collection where you can store your data. Okay, I don't want to go into details, I'll just quickly give you the review understanding. So list is like a person, I mean the list of things you have. For example, you have a to-do list, you have 10 things to do, you can put that string in the list. I want to do this first, then do this, then do this, then do this. So you can put your data in the list. Okay, queue is like any other queue. Whenever you in the ticketing counter, we have a queue, right? So you can put elements in your queue. First element should go first, second element will be the second, third element will be the third, fourth element. So it will stand as the data you have entered, it will go as a queue. Okay, so these are the, next we have a set. Okay, set is a collection where you can have only the unique element. If you are trying to enter a duplicate element, it will throw it out. So for example, you have trying to store 10 object in a collection, and out of 10 object, 2 objects are same, so it will not store the duplicate element, it will always have a unique element in the set collection. Okay, then we have a map. So map is basically a key value pair. So this will store data in terms of key and a value. So it will always associate with a key. For example, the student data. So student data have a roll number. So roll number will be key and the student detail will be a value. So you can have a key and a value kind of structure when you are working with the map collections. Okay. So these are the various types of collection which we can use as per your need. Okay, as per your need of the application. So for example, this is tree set. Whenever you want to store the data in a sorted format, you have a employee detail, you want to sort it based on the salary, for example. Okay, so you can store that data in a tree set. So in the tree set, you can define your data sorting field on basis of which field you want to sort, and you can store the data in a tree set. Okay, so these are the various types of collection: list, queue, set, and map. So these are the types of collection. There are various implementation of this. So for example, list, we have array list, we have linked list. Similarly for queue, we have a priority queue. So based on priority, we can change the queue. So for example, in operating system, whenever when your operating system is doing some job, he has some priority. So automatically some priority algorithm implementation is there in the backend. Okay. So based on priority, the element is being executed based on the priority of the that execution. So you can have a priority queue. Similarly, set, we have multiple implementation like hash set, we have linked hash set, we have tree set. Okay. So coming back to map also we have multiple implementation. When we have a hash table, when we have a hash map, one is a tree map. Okay. So hash map and hash table and hash map is same. Only difference is hash table can have a null as a value, but hash map cannot have a null as a value. That's the only difference. Apart from that, everything is same. Tree map is again the key value pair, but the data is stored in a sorted format. Okay, the sorting is always already done. Sorting, everyone is aware about sorting, right?
Hey viewers, our Master in DevOps engineering program can help you to hone the skills necessary to succeed in high-level DevOps positions. So, what are you waiting for? Enroll now and earn certification that show you are keeping pace with today's technical roles and requirements. Contact info is mentioned in the video sidebars and in the description box. Book your seats for the upcoming batches now.
Sorting is simple, right? Ascending, descending, or is it something more?
Okay. So should I explain sorting? What is sorting?
Yes.
Okay. I think we are good. So this is all about the different collections. If anyone, okay, sorting is basically is sorting the data. So for example, we have a random data person. So hide, for example, in the schools we used to stand on a hide basis, right? The shortest one stand first, then the the little more height, a little more height, a little more height. So we stand in a queue. Sorry, we stand in our daily prayer and daily pretty session based on the height of our height of each student, right? So that is a kind of sorting. Okay. So we are good with collections. Okay. Yeah, it is same as ascending and descending. Yeah, if you want, you can have a ascending sorting. If you want, you can have a descending sorting. Okay. So let's discuss about this architecture of the application. Okay. So what is so whenever you are trying to build any application, okay, so any web application basically, because I'm supposed to discuss first the web application. So what is web application basically? So whenever you are using right now, also you must be using n number of application in your mobile or in your machine. So you have a presentation tier. Presentation tier basically is the UI part where the user actually interact with your application. Okay, so that is the presentation part, presentation tier of your application. Okay. Next, whenever you are doing anything in your presentation, you are clicking something. For example, just take example of Facebook. Okay, yeah, when you log in, okay, first time when you log in, you put your username and the password. Okay, and then you get that your sign in is successful and you get your home page. Okay, so in that context, presentation tier is the tier where you are entering your username and the password, What is the application tier is? Application tier is the logic behind verifying your username and the password. You have entered your username and you have entered your password. Is it the correct one? Okay, so there should be some handling and some logic for that perspective, correct? So that logic, the business logic, resides in the second layer, which is the application layer. Okay, then you have entered the username and the password, which was created before. Okay, it was not created at the runtime, real time, correct? It was created sometime 10 years back or 5 years back, and you are using it again and again every day. So that user credential must be stored somewhere, correct? So that is stored in your database. So that is a data tier, which is database server. Okay, so this is the most basic architecture of any web application. We have the presentation tier, we have the application tier, and then we have the data tier. So data tier will have the all the database information. Okay, so we have one example. I have created one example, and I will go through to that example step by step, so that you understand that how the application is being created end to end. Okay, so this is the example application that I'm trying to create. This is the simplest application. Okay, so application, what this application is going to do is, this is the virtual representation of that application that we are going to build in Java. Okay, so what this application is, I am a new user. I am coming to your application and I am registering it. So I'll enter my details, username and the password. That will be saved in my database. Okay. And then second time when I'm coming, okay, I will use that credential to log in, username and the password, and it will verify that yes, your username and the password is correct. Okay. And then I can see the list of users. This is the the basic operation I have built, so that you people will understand in the simplest way possible. Okay, so this is so this is the what I mean, the table represent the class representation of what we are going to build. So before going into this one, let me explain about how we are going to create the application. Okay.
Hey viewers, trying to get into DevSecOps? Enroll for our DevSecOps certified professional programs and earn the certification that shows you are fit for these technical roles and requirements. Contact info is mentioned in the video sidebars and in the description box. Book your seats for the upcoming batches now.
Just a minute, give me a minute. I'll just have a sip of water. Okay, sorry. So before going to this implementation of this application, which let me explain. Okay, so when you are trying to build any application, we have the option of creating a so which technology we are going to use is the Spring Boot. We have the Spring Boot in Java. We have a Spring Boot framework which will easily create application for you with the zero. I'll not say minimum effort. It is a zero effort to create the application, because earlier we have to do so many things to create the application, but in few clicks you can create your application. Let me explain that. So right click, you can go new, you can go to Spring Boot. Sorry. Okay, so this is the first screen. You will see that you want to create the application. Okay, so when you are creating the application, you have to have one build tool, which is you can use either Maven or you can use Gradle. So right now I'm using the Maven. Okay, so this is the from where the application you can create. You can write the name of the application. So first Spring Boot application. Okay, you have to mention which is the build tool you are going to use, the packaging of the application. Okay, so you can use either Maven or you can use Gradle, 2.x, 3.x. So I'll explain right now with Maven. Okay, packaging you can keep it jar or war. I can make it war. So Java version right now in my system I have installed 8, so I'll use 8 version. Java is fine, group is fine, this is fine. Demo project for Spring Boot package is this. Okay, next. Okay, so this screen will give you the suggestion in your application what all things you want. Okay, so you are going to use a database, right? So you have to use the database so that you can connect with the database. So you need the MySQL driver. Okay, if you want the default security of Spring, you can use this. Okay, Spring Web, because our application is going to be a web application, I can select Spring Web. I'm going to use Spring Data Jpa. So this is the framework. Using this, you can store the data in your backend database. Okay, and this is the time leaf. You can ignore it, but I'm using it just to quickly create the UI part. Okay, so I have already created that application. I explain you step by step because we can't create the entire end-to-end application in such a short time. So I have already created, but this is the demo to how you can create the application. If I go next, I can finish. Just stop me if you have any question wherever we can discuss that. Okay. So I have created this. Let me close everything.
Vikash, with
So it will
Spring
take
Boot,
few seconds to create that application for us. So for time being, that application is getting created. Let me show you the diagram. Okay. So guys, when we are creating this application, so can you see this user repository and Jpa repository? Okay, so these three classes, what it will do is it will take care of the information about saving the data in your database. Okay, so these three classes will take care of creating the data and saving it in your database. Okay, and this user repository, this is find by email. Okay, so using the email id, what I'll do is I'll try to search that particular person who is already the part of our application. So these three classes will take care of that, creating that, saving that data to the database. Okay, then we have this app controller. What is app controller class? So this class is basically the entry point. So whenever you are entering any URL in the application browser, so there should be someone to handle that URL. Okay, someone should be taking care of that, whatever URL you are entering in your URL. Okay, so that is being taken care by this app controller class. I'll show everything. I'll show these classes that I have already created in my workspace. I'll show you these all classes that I'm explaining it right now. Okay, so this is user repository, JPA repository. These are the classes which is being used for saving the data, the database, and retrieving the data from the database. App controller is the URL handling. Whatever URL you are entering in your browser, that controller, this app controller will handle that, the class. Okay, then we have this customer user detail, customer detail service, that security configs. Is all the classes, all the classes is taking care of the security. So when you try to enter the username and the password, yes, yes, Anupam. So Eclipse, either you can add the Spring module in your current Eclipse version, or you can download the STS. The STS is the default editor, it is the extension of Eclipse only, but you can use the STS to directly to do the Spring. You can build the application Springboot application using the this editor also. Okay. Coming back to that. Okay, so these are the classes, the upper classes which I am highlighting right now: user detail, service, web security. These are the classes which will handle the security part. So when I'm entering the username and the password, that is valid username and the password, that validity is happening through these all four classes. Okay, and this customer user, this is the class which will store the information about user details. Okay, so this is very simple example. I'm trying to explain this. So let's see, is our application is ready? Yeah, it is ready. So this is the sample application this we have created. Okay, let me explain the simple folder structure, how the application is structured when you create the Spring Boot. So Spring Boot application, you don't have to deploy in a different application server. The Tomcat application already have inbuilt Tomcat server. Okay. Okay. So when we were explaining, when we were discussing about Java, I told you, right? The Java entry point is the main method. Okay. So in the Spring Boot application also, the entry point is you can see the first is Spring Boot application.java. This is the entry point of your application. Okay, public static void main spring application.run, and you have this method has been passed and the argument has been passed. So this is the entry point of your Spring Boot application. Okay, then the important files, let me explain few important files. This is the application.properties. This property file right now is blank, but this application property file will store all the information, all the properties information in this file. Okay, this template will contain all the UI interface that you see in the UI. Those all the UI related files will reside in this template. Okay, static will have the static content. For example, the images. For example, when you want to in your application something you are showing the video. So those static kind of things, image icon, fabi icon. So all this static information is stored in this static folder. Okay, so this is the basic a structure of a Spring Boot application, and the unit test case that you write in your application, that should reside in this src test Java. So you can store all the test class in your.
Hey viewers, are you looking for formal training on SRE practices? Take our SRE program. This course will teach you how to successfully implement site reliability engineering in the modern day 24/7 services. Kickstart your SRE training today. Contact info is mentioned in the video sidebars and in the description box. Book your seats for the upcoming batches now.
This class. So by default, this is the structure created by Spring Boot for you. So which is very handy, because earlier few years back it's a pain to create an application structure itself, and it will create a lot of problem. Okay, next, so this is the basic folder structure, and now for building we are using the Maven, right? So Maven dependency is like whatever dependency is required for your application, which will store in Maven dependency. So for example, can you see for Spring Boot we have Spring Boot related jars. Okay, Spring Boot starter, we have Spring Boot starter this, then we have Spring Boot starter JDBC to this is used to interact with the database. Okay, then we have this Hibernate command annotation. This is being used to mapping the object of Java to the database table. Okay, these are the important jar file, the libraries which is already added using the Maven. How this is can you see this Tomcat also? It's already there. You don't have to install a separate application server to run this Spring Boot application. We have Tomcat embedded core. We have Tomcat embedded WebSocket. Okay, so JUnit is already there. So when you're writing the unit testing for your application, this is already present in your libraries. Okay, so these are the various libraries which is already there. using in the Maven dependencies, you can open the pom.xml. So so guys, you are aware about Maven?
No.
Is anyone is aware about Maven tool, or I think nobody is aware about, right? Okay, I think don't have idea. Okay, so Maven is basically a build tool. So Maven is used to build your application. Okay, and it will, in a nutshell, I'll try to explain. I mean, this simplest way. So Maven, because Maven itself required a session if you want to discuss in detail about Maven. But in a nutshell, what is Maven is? So Maven is basically a build tool. So build tool in the sense is when you are writing a Java application, it will package it. It will download all the dependencies which is required, and it will package the application, and it will package the way you want, a bar file, jar file, so anything. Okay, so for example, I'll explain using this pom file. So pom.xml is the file which is used by Maven to build it. Okay, so this is the file which store all the information about your Maven build. Okay, so when I open this, start with the project tag. Okay, in the project tag we have the parent, if we have multiple project within the application. But in our case, we have one parent only, which is the Spring Boot starter, because we are using the Spring Boot. So Spring Boot starter parent is always a parent of all the application of Spring Boot. Okay, if we have one more parent, then we have one more tag of parents, but for Spring Boot application, this is always there. Okay, then we have a group ID. What is the group of your application? Artifact ID. So when you build the application, this is the name of the artifact ID. Okay, you can maintain the versioning of your application. What is the package? What is the output of your application? You want a jar file, you want a war file, so you can create using this packaging. What is the name of the application? This is the description, which is optional. Okay, now the properties. So this property will tell you right now we have only one property. So this property is what is the Java version you are going to use for your Maven build. So in this case, we are using 1.8. Okay. Now comes the important part. One most important part is the dependencies. So when you are trying to build the application, your application build is depend on external jars also, right? It doesn't have everything, so you have to download those dependencies from the external world. So Maven dependencies is being downloaded from Maven repository. We have one Maven repository. You can see Maven repository. So this is the repository from where you can download all the dependencies which you want. Okay, let's go back to this. So we have, so by default Spring Boot has already added few dependencies. So first, these are the Spring Boot. This is related to the storing the database data in the database. You can see this is the security one, this is the time lift, this is the template, this is the web application related dependencies, this is again time lift, Spring security. Then we have a MySQL connector. We need the MySQL connector to connect to your database. Okay, then we have this Tomcat. I already told you we don't need a separate Tomcat. Spring Boot application already have a Tomcat associated, inbuilt Tomcat server is already there. Okay, then we have a Spring Boot starter test. So this is used for testing your application. Okay, so this is already added. Then we have Spring security test also already added. Okay, and this is one plugin. This is again related to Spring Boot only. So these are the various dependencies, and this is the basic architecture or the basic file architecture of Maven, how it has been structured. A project, then we have parent, then we have the properties related to your project, and then we have property, then we have various dependencies. Okay, and then we have one plugin. So right now we are using Maven, so we have a Maven plugin associated to this. So this is basically about the Maven. which is being used to, the shortest way possible I've tried to explain. What is difference between parent and dependencies? Okay. So dependencies are the external jars. Okay, so external jars that you download. Parent is whenever you're building the application, this is the parent application. So right now we have built the application using the Springboot. So Springboot application is the parent application of all the application. Okay, so dependencies are just the small chunks of thing which you require to build your application. Okay, but parents are basically the building block of your application. It is not the small functionality. So these are basically the small functionality which you required in your application. Okay, but this is the basic building block. This is the building block. On top of it, you are trying to build your application. Did I answer, Anupam Ghosh? Okay, thank you. So this is the basic structure of Maven. Okay, and okay, so we were discussing the basic architecture. So how the application has been structured. This is how your application has been structured. So Maven dependencies we have already discussed. Yeah. Okay, so let's try to run this. So when I run this application, you have to just go and run it. So when you're running it, you don't have to do anything. In a few clicks, your application is up and running. You have created the entire structure, you have built it. Now you have just right click it and run it. So this is the easiest possible way the Java community can provide you to create your application. Okay, so see, the application is getting started. There is some problem. Let's check what is the problem. Okay, so the problem is, let me maximize it. So problem is failed to configure a database. URL attribute is not specified and no embedded data source could be configured. Okay. So when we are trying to create, when we have created this application, we already told this application that we need a database, right? We are trying to we will try to store the information in your database, right? So in the application.properties, we have not mentioned anything related to database. That's why this application is not able to start up. So we have to enter the database details to make this application up and running. So I'll copy it from the application that I've already created. Yeah. Okay. So these are the properties which I have entered for our new application that I have created. First, Spring Boot application. So inside this, I have to mention this. Forget about this first line. I'll explain. So this is the URL. So you have to mention the URL of your database. Okay. So this is MySQL. This is my local host. I have entered my local machine database. You can enter any database. You can have a database server outside your system also. So this is the default port number, and then we have the name of the database. Okay. Then we have the username of the what is the username I can use to connect, and this is my default password I mentioned. And these are the two lines which is I'll explain. So Spring Jpa properties Hibernate format SQL. So this property is used to show the whenever you are trying to interact with the database, it will show the query, whatever the query you are trying to create. Okay, so this property will help you in that. So you can ignore it for as of now. I mean, it is not that important for you people right now, but just for your understanding. And this is JPA Hibernate DDL auto create. So this can have a value as create, none, drop, and create none. Okay, so what is the meaning of this is, so when you are trying to create your application first time, so it will create everything fresh in terms of database. Okay, it will drop everything and it will create a fresh. So you already have a database, you already have a table, we already have a data inside that table. It will drop everything, it will clean up, it will do a fresh setup for you. Okay, so this is great in case of testing environment, in case of local environments, but in production it is none. Okay, you don't drop your production database, right? You always have to use the same database again and again. Correct. For testing environment, we use create hyphen none. Sorry, create hyphen drop. Okay. But for our purpose, we use only create. So this is the basic architecture. Let's try to run it again because earlier it got failed, right? Now run as Springboot app. I think our application is up and running. Can you see this? Your application is saying this started first is Spring Boot application in 12.24 second and the port number is 8080. Okay, and the context path is nothing, blank. So I don't have to enter any context path. I have to just enter localhost 8080. Let's try that. So localhost 8080. Okay.
Thanks for watching. Want to study further? Join our training programs today.